Hello, and welcome to Monday with Nicolette. Thank you so much for joining me today. If this is your first time here, please go ahead and click the subscribe button as well as the notification bell so that you'll be able to receive the next video. So in the Find Your Focus series, I spoke briefly about the way that I work on tasks most productively. More specifically, I mentioned what's known as the Pomodoro technique. And in this episode, I'm going to explain that technique a little bit more, and I'm going to share one of the apps that I use to find and maintain my focus. So let's get started. Okay, so I referred to the Find Your Focus series because in that series, I talk about a few of the ways that we can work with ourselves to develop our ability to focus on the given tasks that we need to take care of. So one of the ways that I talked about doing this is by chunking our workload. So one of the things that we don't want to do when we have a lot of tasks to complete is to multitask. You might think that that would be the best, most effective way to get a lot of things done, is to try to do a lot of things at the same time. However, that is the least productive way to get things done. The best way to get things done is to focus on each task individually from beginning to end, or within a specified time frame. And that's where the Pomodoro technique comes in that I want to share with you today. Because as I said, it's the technique that I use in order to stay focused and to get my work done. So the Pomodoro technique was developed by Francisco Cirillo, and it was something that he came up with as a college student. So he had a small timer that looked like a tomato. However, he's Italian, so in Italian, Pomodoro is tomato. So he used that timer to set the time that he would dedicate towards his schoolwork, studying, doing his homework, and so forth. And he established a certain amount of time for doing the work and then a certain amount of time for taking a break. So the true Pomodoro method is setting the timer for 25 minutes and then taking a 5-minute break and then going back to your Pomodoro routine for 25 minutes, taking another 5-minute break. And then after about 4 Pomodoros or 4 intervals of that time slot, you would then take a 30-minute break or a 40-minute break or an hour break, depending on your day and your schedule and what you have to do. So that is the original Pomodoro technique. But of course, as with anything, we have to do what works for us. So I started with the original because I thought it was a great way to start. Brain-based research tells us that our brain works better when we chunk whatever it is that we're trying to learn or what we're trying to do. So that simply means that instead of approaching a project, from start to finish, if it's going to take 3 hours, the best way to do it is to break it down. And that goes for everything. The best way to do anything is step by step, part by part, piece by piece, in small chunks. And it's this idea behind the Pomodoro technique, because we can all dedicate our attention towards doing anything that we desire for 1 minute, for 5 minutes, for 10 minutes, for 15 minutes, if we determine that that is what we are going to do. So when you think about enhancing and improving your ability to focus, you want to also start small. So if you choose to use this technique, you might say to yourself, well, okay, I'm going to set my Pomodoro timer for 10 minutes so I can focus on whatever it is that I need to focus on. And I'm going to take a 2-minute break. And then as you build up your ability to focus on your task, you can stretch out the time. So for example, when I sit down to work, now that I have done it for a very long time and I have my own rhythm, I usually set my Pomodoros for 40 minutes to 45 minutes, and then I would take a 5-minute break. When I really have a lot to do or something that is going to take a lot of time, I found that the longest time that I can focus and really focus on a task is 90 minutes. And then I would take a 15 to 20 minute break. So there's a lot of ways to play with it. I'm going to show you now my first Pomodoro timer. It's not the shape of a tomato, it's the shape of an egg, but it doesn't matter what it looks like. This one doesn't even work anymore because I've had it so long, but I'm going to share with you something else towards the end of the video. But I just wanted to show you that if you have a simple timer just like this, all you need to do is set it for 25 minutes. And then when the bell goes off, you stop, and then you set it for 5 minutes, because you also need to keep track of that break time because it goes by very quickly. And then you set it again. So this is my original Pomodoro timer. Okay, so some questions that usually come up with using the technique is like, okay, so now I set my 25 minutes, I'm focused, I'm working on my task. Now I have my 5-minute break. What do I do in 5 minutes? So the 5 minutes is a great time to do small tasks that will take you away from the work, but will also be good for your well-being. So those breaks, the Pomodoro breaks, are really good times for taking a small stretch, for walking, even just in your location, just getting up, standing up, walking back and forth, doing a quick yoga pose such as down dog or child's pose is wonderful in that 5 minutes. Anything that you can do to also sort of boost and refuel your focus for when you sit down to do that next round. So what are those things? Those things are, in addition to what I just mentioned, you make sure you hydrate during that time. You can have your brain food, such as your blueberry snacks or your dark chocolate for the day. Those are the things that you want to do during the 5-minute break. And then, of course, after you've done several Pomodoros and you get to your 30-minute break, then you would use that time to do something that, will take a little bit more time. So that's the Pomodoro technique. That's why it works, and that's why I use it. So I said to you in the beginning that I also wanted to share what I use now. So going back to this, so this is done. This is no more. But if you have a timer, you can use one like this. However, I have stepped up my game a little bit, and I no longer use this one. I use an app in my phone called Be Focused. You can use it. It's free. And if you simply go to your app store, I have an iPhone, so I'm sure it's available for Android as well. You can just download that onto your phone, and it's the Pomodoro technique in an app. You just set it. It's set for 25 minutes, and then it'll go off. The bell will ring to indicate that the 25 minutes are up, and then the 5-minute break, same thing, your 5-minute break is up. So that app is called Be Focused, which is aptly named because it goes right along with what we're talking about. So as I said, all of this is talked about a little bit more if you missed the Find Your Focus series. I'm going to link it to this video so that if you didn't catch it the first time it came out, you can catch it on the replay, as they say. Okay, so that wraps up what I wanted to share with you today. The Pomodoro technique, a really effective way for unitasking or single tasking or being focused on a task for a specified amount of time, and then taking a small break, doing that again, doing it again and again as you see fit until you can take a longer break and until your task is done. If you found value in this video, please go ahead and click the like button, leave a comment or a question. I'm always happy to hear from you to answer any questions that you might have. And like I said, be sure to check out the Find Your Focus video series if you haven't done so already, where I talk a lot more about the ways that we can help ourselves to find our focus, maintain our focus, and to get our goals crushed. So see you next time. Please be sure to join me not only here by subscribing, but to visit my website and to sign up to stay on our list there as well. So check that out as soon as you can, and follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Nicolette James. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.